Right, folks, Enda Varley here, back for another week with Stephen Poacher. Obviously, on about the games of the weekend. We obviously had Kerry, Derry, Dublin, Monaghan, and we had the Intelligent Cup final with Meath and Down. So it was, as I was saying to you off air, it wasn't exactly a good weekend for the Ulster team, Stevie. But how are you? How's things, man?
No, not a good weekend, Anna. We're licking our wounds, boy. We're circling the wagon, trying to create the everyone hates us brigade, Steve's mentality. No, but look here, listen, look. I suppose we'll go to the Tailteann later, and we'll chat about the morning game. But I suppose Derry, I was just saying to Dara there, Derry, I thought were incredible. I thought in the first half they were absolutely magnificent. 100% the best team lost. I think the only pundit that I heard over the weekend saying that was Tomas O'Shea. I thought he was superbly honest in the Sunday game on Sunday night. He talked about the free that was given on Stephen O'Brien. Like, you talk about small moments, but John Wooden, great American basketball coach, he used to say, the little things make the big things happen. So that little small incident with Stephen O'Brien where Gareth McKinless literally just put his glove on it. It was incidental contact. It was literally no contact whatsoever. People probably don't understand then the impact that has. That gives Kerry a place ball. It is so easy to press only. It's so easy to organise a zonal press on a kick out when you have a place ball because it's in your control. It's not easy to organise a zonal press from open play. So what I mean by organising a zonal press from open play, if Kerry break up the field and they kick a score, it's very hard for them to get into their zones. And Derry got an awful lot of kickouts away because Kerry just couldn't get a press on them,
Yeah.
And that's the greatest strength of this Kerry team and the Dublin team is they are brave, they are bold, and they've got an ability to go after teams on a zonal press. But I just felt then that Derry got so much right. And I was listening to Kieran Meena's interview after. He just sounded absolutely distraught. I would say the level of coaching, the level of analysis, the preparation that went into that game, they absolutely schooled Jack O'Connor. Kieran Meena, for me, schooled Jack O'Connor at the weekend, from a tactical point of view. And it was, no, honestly, I think it was genuinely a stroke of luck with the Stephen O'Brien that got Kerry back into the game. I genuinely mean that. I thought from a tactical point of view, I thought Kerry were absolutely abysmal in the first half. Clifford got caught for the goal. We knew that he wouldn't like to defend. We knew that he couldn't get on the back foot when McCaig put him on the front foot. Conor McCluskey absolutely destroyed Paddy Clifford. I thought the amount of ball that Conor McCluskey got on, they showed Conor McCluskey no respect whatsoever. Gareth McKinless destroyed Seanie O'Shea on the back foot as well. It was absolutely magnificent from Derry, and to be fair, and there were one or two small passes away from opening Kerry up for 3 or 4 goals. Really, really was. And Kerry had the arrogance in the first half to go man to man, and I thought Derry exploited that superbly well at times.
I'm gonna play devil's advocate here now a small bit. Now I do agree with you, probably about 70-80% what you said there, Stevie. Derry would be kicking themselves, and I agree with Tomas O'Shea. I thought the better team probably lost that game. You can't score 3 points in the second half, 3 out of 14 scoring chances, and expect to win a semi-final. Although the first half they played absolutely magnificently. Jack O'Connor did mention. I thought I had a right smile on my face. Jack O'Connor mentioned, in his post-match interview, he said we adjusted things at half-time where we let Derry have the kicker. We didn't push as far up the pitch, so we had a deeper line zonal defence. Now, that's all well and good, but Derry still fucking created so many chances in that second half. Three from 14.
Derry, that's the point I'm making. You have McKinless's chance where he broke through. Sheeran pulled up a brilliant save. You had McKinless again, who got in round behind them and sweep one back for Niall Toner. Yeah. But it's not even those. Those are clear-cut goal chances. Shane McGuigan stepped inside Foley, dragged to the ground. I think if a Goff character had been refereeing that game, that possibly would have been a penalty in a black card because it was a goal-scoring opportunity, and it's letter of the law stuff, or Sean Hurston or something who, is very technically orientated as a ref. I would say that could have been possibly a black card and a penalty, and because it was a goal-scoring opportunity. There was 3 just off the top of my head, but and on top of that, there was also a number of brilliantly orchestrated cuts from Derry that was literally a little half a pass away. Kerry maybe just got a hand in, or the pass was undercooked, or the pass was just misplaced. You know, the execution of the pass wasn't there. And Derry, unfortunately, had 13 turnovers in the second half, and that ultimately, I totally agree with you. It ultimately cost them the game. But at 114 to 112, and this is the bullshit that I don't read into, and I don't believe this narrative. Kerry's conditioning and Kerry's physicality came through in the end. That's a load of bollocks. That's a load of bollocks. At 114 to 112, I'm going to tell you this. A ball was kicked into Clifford at 114 to 112, and he turned and spun on his heel and fucked his own teammates off to high heaven for overcooking the pass. They were gone at that stage, Enda. Absolutely gone. And if Derry had clipped on a score or two at that stage, it was game over. Like, honestly, game over. But the free kick, Stephen O'Brien, the 64th minute, changed the game. Changed the game.
Don't forget in the Sean O'Shea punch into Rodgers as well. I don't know how that free wasn't given. They turned over his turnover ball. Clifford got it and popped it over the bar. It was 4 points in 4 minutes. He just came in and thumped him like it was. Yourself. He was.
Thumped him right twice. And McQuillan gave the free on Clifford 2 seconds before that for a wee. Just his arm was pulled a slight bit, you know. But listen, Andy, you have to give the likes of Clifford and Con and Shane McGuigan these. You have to give these forwards a huge amount of credit because they do take an awful lot of abuse physically, right? And they're very, very good at exuberating a free kick. They're very good at exuberating the foul, and maybe a glance to the referee with a hand in the air type thing to say, am I not getting this? And that does have an impact on referee decisions. It definitely does. And the top forwards are very, very good at gaining that little bit of advantage.
I do think as well, CV, that Shane McGuigan took, I'd say, 3 or 4 heavy hits in the first half, and the second half he just looked. He could have been. I don't want to throw out concussion out, willy nilly here, but he wasn't the same player. He looked fucked in the second half from the he took 4 massive hits. Now I was again I don't think Kerry would have targeted him in that respect, but it's just a massive coincidence where he got 4 massive hits, like Shane Ryan's hit, Clifford's shoulder. There's 2 more hits I saw in the first half and the second half.
I actually thought Jason Foley had a decent game. I thought Jason Foley, I think Jason Foley's a really, really good defender. I'm not going to take that. I think he's a top class defender. But there's a few times Foley did get a hand in, or even a few times there was a bit of a spill ball. But so we follow through. People don't really see that. The naked eye, you sort of ignore that. There was always something left on McGuigan. Even when he got a shot away, there was something on him. There was something left on him. Yeah. And even when he came out of the injury with Shane Ryan, there was a bit of gobbing to him, a bit of sledging to him. And you just see that there was an orchestrated, on 100%, and there would have been an orchestrated, strategic sort of systematic fouling of McGuigan. Even in the second half, Jack Barry went through him as well, really late, really proper late, and you just, it's not coincidental, big man. It's not a coincidence.
Do you think? I know. Obviously, look at you've been in them team meetings as well. Obviously, look at if with the likes of Clifford or Shane McGuigan, them type type players are going by you give them a little nudge or you tag them. Do you know what I mean? But like Clifford's hit on him was a massive hit. Shane Ryan's was a massive hit. They're 50-50. I had a wry smile on my face. I shouldn't be smiling. He took some fucking abuse now. It's not funny, but it was, to me, it was a coincidence where those kind of hits. I know the sledging off the ball. He's going to expect that because he's, as we've discussed earlier on these pods, he's in the top 3-4 forwards in the country, and he's going to expect that abuse. But that was a major negative for Derry in the second half, where they had their best forward basically. I'm not going to say nullified. I just think he was fucked from all those heavy hits.
There's a few small glimpses in the second half. Obviously, the time that he turned Foley, Owen McAvoy broke through. I thought Owen McAvoy had a decent game as well. Actually, he's a young lad. He's only 19, and he burst through from full back and slipped a lovely ball to him. Yeah. And McGuigan said that just if he had stayed on his feet for a split second more, McAvoy was actually in for a goal at that stage as well. So look, and without get into the sort of the depths of what Kerry targeted and what they didn't target, there's no question about it. That they aren't whiter than white. They all aren't. And obviously they have that feeling that's but it just sort of, it infuriates me a wee bit. Obviously I get a bit of stick for saying it or whatever on social media, but it's a bugbear of mine that when Armagh and Tyrone have a bit of a melee or whatever, there's 7 or 8 people suspended, there's sentence off, I think the time Goff done that game, like he was firing out red cards like confetti, and yet then Dublin play Kerry in a National League game, and there's a full blown melee, and it's just brushed over, dusted over, not a word about it. I just feel there can be a stigma with Ulster teams, particularly the six counties, and in fact that that stigma of it's the Nordies, it's the Ulster mentality, it's they have an insular way of thinking and stuff, and it's a load of bollocks because the best teams in the country are contesting the All-Ireland final in 2 weeks' time, Dublin and Kerry, but they're also probably two of the most well-versed when it comes to the dark arts of the game. There's no one better at it. There's no one better at it than Kerry and Dublin. Like, no one better.
That could be coming from the Ulster Championship, Steve, because it's so attritional. Do you know what I mean? It's the most competitive championship, most even competitive championship where it's a close games and it is attritional. It is in your face. There is sledging, and when you get to the latter stages, as you said there, off the All-Ireland series, that that comes into play here as well. So maybe it's a carryover from the referees seeing that. It's a carryover. Maybe I'm making excuses here, but you are right. Like Ulster teams do
quite possibly, Enda. But it also is like people, might not pick up on it, like because people have this sort of, thing that northern people have an element of paranoia and different things like that. But there's a reason for it. Like take our national broadcaster, RTE, for example. Start with them. Like the way some of the incidents in Ulster were dealt with on TV, the way they were highlighted, the way they're absolute fine detail that they go into, like a forensic examination of a tackle or a late hit, like or if it's Armagh, if it's Tyrone, or if it's Derry. Same doesn't apply for all the teams, like, and that's a fact, like and I would love to go back and look at the statistics of it and see how many players actually got suspended from incidents that maybe the Sunday game have covered, and there is 100%, and there is honestly a definite biasness towards the Ulster counties. There's no question about it. Like, and I just think when you go to Croke Park, the big calls tend to go away from them, and it's just something that I've noticed, and I've picked up on it. And people think like that I'm, a big Derry man, a big Trump. Not like I'm watching these games as completely neutral. Obviously, you want to see the Ulster teams winning because they're from your province, but you're coming in with a clear thought of thinking. You're not speaking emotionally about your own county. I'm watching this happening all the time, and it happens too often. And and it's disappointing, like, because I thought Joe McQuillan got an awful lot of soft free kicks awarded to Kerry. I thought some of his decision making at times, was baffling. And then someone talked about accountability. I've been in the end of this myself. Like, sometimes I just feel referees, at that level as well. I think there should be an element of accountability. There should be an element of, look, just come out after and just have a quiet word with, the media, whatever it happens to be, and maybe just explain a couple of those decisions. Could you explain a couple of those in a real nice manner? You're not putting them under the gun or the radar. Just say, could you maybe give us an insight? And you know what would happen, Enda? We would all learn from it. We would all learn from it. We would all improve. We could all go away and say, I see why you give that. Yeah, I understand. I'm sorry. But there's none of that. There's none of that. Geez, you don't ask a referee now, what was that for? Sorry. Some of them will just look at you staying. And another thing that's growing with certain referees in the country as well is, I think there's a huge element of egotistical nature about some of them as well. I think some of their profiles have been built up now to a very, very high level, and that's an issue, and that will be an issue moving forward as well. I think that's important that we, if you want that profile and you want to be out there, that's fine, but then come out and show a bit of accountability then when you're making these big calls,
Morris Deegan used to like to fake 10 and
What's that?
What's Morris?
Morris is on the BBC Championship this week as a pundit.
Is he?
He was at the weekend, running his eye over decision. And he was one of the referees as well that talked about. He was one of the referees as well that talked about the Stephen O'Brien foul and said it was very, very soft, very, very softly.
Yeah, well, look at Stephen. Look at you alluded to it earlier on. Look at the period of the game, the 50 to 60 minutes there, was crying out for Derry. If they executed, if they just got 2 or 3 points ahead, the fact that Kerry, they let Kerry stay in the game, and when you let them stay in the game, like Sean O'Shea came into it, like when you have the class of Sean O'Shea and Clifford, like Sean O'Shea got a very quiet 4 points. He was quite-ish throughout the day, like, but look, they'll be utterly disappointed. Like when you're going through the list of players here, like you're talking the big players, like 6, 7, 8 players, Derry players played 8 9s out of 10. You're looking at the Kerry side here, and you're maybe looking at obviously Clifford, fucking Jim O'Connor, Gavin White, But apart from them, Graham O'Sullivan, huh?
Gavin White had an excellent game.
Gavin White,
yeah, he had a really.
That was the best game.
Really,
that was the best game of the year for him. Like he was, man. I was looking at him last year. He was outstanding. Like he's been very explosive. Just his form hasn't been the same this year. But he was brilliant the last day, breaking the line. But like Derry dominated the middle third sector. Like Glass, I thought was quite enough for Derry, quite-ish.
Yeah, he had a quiet game. I thought Brendan Rodgers got on a lot of ball. I thought Brendan Rodgers was inspirational. I thought a huge driving force. And probably important to note as well too, and the loss of Padraig McGrogan, who's having a brilliant season.
Yes.
You know, he was hit late. He was also hit late early in the game as well. You know, after a score, and that obviously put him out. And then there was a bit of a reshuffle. And I think obviously the substitution of Stephen O'Brien was a hugely positive influence for Kerry. He seemed to pick up a lot of loose ball, and maybe the matchups that were emphasised before the game maybe just weren't as sort of stringently emphasised, you know, at half time. Maybe O'Brien coming on caught Derry a little bit, maybe, you know, possibly. But again, look, I still feel, and you know, Derry did manage to get themselves, obviously they started the second half a little bit slowly, but they did manufacture themselves into the game where they actually dominated that sort of middle quarter of the half. And you know, there was a huge that 6-7 minute spell. I must watch it back, but when they went 114 to 112 up, like there was so many little opportunities to go and win the game. And just after the Stephen O'Brien non-foul that they got, right, I think it was Owen McAvoy had made a brilliant block. And if you watch McFall's reaction, he's the fist clenched as if to say, we've got them, you know. And McAvoy was coming out with the ball. And that would have been massive, and massive, like 114 to 112, with 6 minutes to go. Kerry have just missed a goal chance. Derry's coming out with the ball, possibly even, you know, manufacture a scoring opportunity at the other end. It would have been huge, like, absolutely huge, like, you know, the lift it would have given. Like, but look, it's ifs and buts now, but I have to take my hats off to Derry now in comparison to where they were this time last year in the semi-final against Galway. I thought the performance on Sunday was a credit to them, and that's a team ended 4 years ago. 4 years ago, we're in Division 4. 2019, Derry started the 2019 season in Division 4. That's serious progress in 4 years, boss.
Massive. I will have to give some flowers. We'll say you're on about Stephen O'Brien there. We say 2-3 years ago, he's obviously lost his place in the Kerry team, but that there's not too many times to see Stephen O'Brien kicking a left-footed score. He usually comes in the inside, a bit like Paul Mann, you were on about the last day as well. But to come on the outside and get that extra couple of seconds and to kick it off the left foot was very impressive. Yeah. He was one of the key differences. Clifford on McKay, on Chrissy. I don't even think Chrissy had a bad fucking game here. Like Clifford scored 9 points.
We were talking about him today. He's a freak. Like he's a freak. Like he's got everything. The lad's got everything. He's a wonderful footballer. The physicality, the size, the strength, the power, the finesse.
The footwork, Stevie.
What's that?
The footwork, man. He's 6'3", and he's acting like a fucking. Yeah. He's acting like a nippy corner forward at 6'3".
Yeah. Even just Enda, his ability just to take that little bounce, you know, the little bounce before the shot, like just to compose himself. It's just, the lad's got everything. He's got everything. And I'll tell you, his temperament's outstanding as well. Absolutely outstanding, because I'm sure he was getting plenty of stick and plenty of abuse from everyone, and he probably gets it every week. Like, but his temperament seems to be really, really outstanding, you know, and he can mix it with the best of them too when it comes to the physical side of things too. He can mix it as well. He's not shy either. Like, so, and you need that because, you know, he's obviously got the likes of Chrissy McKay hanging out of him, and probably in the final, probably be Mick Fitz, I'd say, maybe.
Mick Fitz, yeah. But like his consistency, Stevie, like it's just like it's fucking unbelievable in terms of the like left foot, right foot. He took a mark there and someone over the right foot as well. But his aerial ability, even last year against Galway, to catch two, like Galway were packing the defence, and they sent in 2-3 speculative high balls, plucked them out of the air, and got Kerry back in the game here, because they were out of that game the first 10-15 minutes of that All-Ireland final. His leadership, like he's not on social media, which tells me a lot about the fella, to be honest with you. He doesn't crave attention. He's just, as you said, his temperament, like he is getting sledged every single game. Imagine the mountain that's been done to him. And like he's been double marked every single game, but yet he's still coming out with 9 points in an All-Ireland semi-final. It's just
His kicking style, the ball to the foot, and how high the trajectory of his shot is. He's an extremely difficult player to block. Seen McCaig diving on a few blocks and couldn't get near him because just the way he kicks the ball. He kicks it so high, and it's so difficult to get the gloves down on the boot. It's really, really difficult. The lads just got everything, absolutely everything. And I think Enda, the way that Derry set up, obviously, with a really, really strong defensive platform. Dublin are probably going to go man to man. That's the way Dublin sort of have been playing a lot of the year, and he could have a field day in the final. He genuinely could have a field day in the final.
Yeah, no, it's going to be good. And one last player I want to mention is I knew Gareth McKinless was a good player, but I didn't think he was that good. My God, he was absolutely he was unbelievable.
He's had a brilliant season. McKinless has had a brilliant season.
Jesus, he was outstanding. Fuck me, man. He was absolutely outstanding on the last day. Jeez, he ate
a real drive.
Oh, stop. She's unbelievable. Look at finish on like Derry. Look at Derry. Obviously going to be bitterly disappointed here, but they're still in a decent. Like they've two Ulster titles back to back. Not easy done. And look, they'll fucking hopefully again next year they'll go.
I would say if you look at it, they've obviously back to back Ulster titles. Okay, they have that, but at the same time, and they're also promoted to Division 1 for the first time now in 5 years or 6 years, with longer actually. Yeah. Jeez, I think when's the last time they were Division 1 was possibly 2014.
Yeah, 14. Yeah.
The first time 10 years. So they have Dublins, the Kerrys, the Galways all coming to Celtic Park next year, or they're going there, and that will obviously bring them on again. Playing at a higher standard, a higher level of football. I'm just wondering to myself, like, does the Ulster Championship, because it's so sacred and because it's so sought after, I wonder, does it just take a little bit more out of the Ulster teams when it comes to this stage of the competition, where your Kerrys and your Dublins are coming in just that little bit more fresher? I don't know.
Yeah, that's. Look at for Derry party. You're saying there they do have a small plan. They probably do need 2 or 3 more players to break through there to maybe make that. I thought maybe a couple of subs coming on to make an impact. Kerry probably had a small bit more off the bench as well, but look at that's for another day. But